Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at We the Locals podcast. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Abby.
And we've got Stu pushing buttons. Thanks, Stu.
Hello.
Say hello. I'll do it again.
Hello.
All right. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is the We the Locals podcast. We have a lot to chat with you about tonight, and we're happy that you're spending a little bit of time with us. If you could take a moment to please like this episode, share this episode on all your social media platforms, and then subscribe, whether you are on Rumble or YouTube, or if you want to do both, that would be great. If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so by giving us a Rumble rant or a super chat. You can also do that by going to our website. And we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor today, Salvo, salvo.today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your faith in us, and we are excited to talk about that a little bit later. I got another look. I'm going to be using it this weekend. I'm so excited. And we also want to give a big thank you to R30 Agency, an investigation firm. He sponsored us at the very beginning, got us off the ground. I don't know that we'd be here today if it weren't for you, Al. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
we really
Al.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Al.
And so those are our
I just want to
things.
add to that, Al obviously sees the importance of getting the word out, sharing good information. He shared a link with us this week, an article. In the past 6 months to a year, I want to say the Canadian government has been really cracking down on online content and just trying to put regulations in place to make it almost criminal if the CBC and the Canadian government doesn't like what you're saying on your podcast. And so, obviously we live in the United States. We have something called the Constitution.
whoop whoop.
But we have to protect that Constitution.
Yes.
We have to defend it, and we have to continue to stand up against any kind of government tyranny. And
Doesn't matter what side it comes from.
Thanks for feeding us the information, Al. Thanks for being
Yes.
such a huge supporter through the early months.
Yes.
And
if you guys need any weapons instruction or investigating, I have personally worked with Al on a few things, and he is great, very knowledgeable. A lot of my friends have gone to him for some weapons training, and family as well.
Stuart and I did.
Stu and Jessica did, and so he's great. Definitely give him a call. And all right. Okay, so tonight, REC,
Dun, dun, dun,
dun, dun,
dun,
dun. We are not there, but live as we are speaking. The Palm Beach County REC is doing what, Jessica?
They are having a special meeting that was called by the vice chairman, Rick Roth.
Representative Rick Roth.
Representative, who is the current vice chair of the REC, was called. So tonight, meeting started. I guess it was a little late, but they are proceeding. I'm getting some updates, so if anything comes up, I will, that I think that it's important to share, I will definitely let everybody know. Couple of things, too, about the REC is a lot of, a lot of our fellow REC members, I'm being told, are sharing our podcast, our fiery but mostly peaceful
episode.
Shout
out.
Was shared, I guess, greatly through the membership. So definitely want to give a shout out to anybody who has shared our podcast and shared our information.
Yes.
We definitely appreciate it and want to make sure that we're educating everybody, including, not only Republican members, part of the party, but, just people in general and voters and people who want to pay attention. So it was very interesting because I had a conversation with Steve Abrams the other day.
I love Steve Abrams. He's so
hi,
happy.
Steve. He loves to watch, so I'm going to give him a little shout out. Hi, Steve. I hope everything's well. And, he's kind of like, when he was a commissioner and when he was in city council in Boca, he was like, there used to be reporters at every meeting.
Wow.
Every meeting. And then they used to report on them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, none of that happens now. And he's like,
only the Coastal Star. Shout out to the Coastal Star.
And he goes, so I love listening to you girls because it's the information that like we don't hear anymore.
Well, that's fun because I actually have the agenda for the next city council meeting in Boca, which is on the 23rd. So we'll get to chat about that tonight. So awesome.
So shout out to him and thank you. So this is a great way to educate yourself and to share the information about what's going on locally in politics. So please, as Josie mentioned, be sure to like, share, subscribe. If you love our content, we'd love to be able to put out more information for you guys. So be sure to help us fund our studio space, please.
Also, shout out to Invictus Podcast Studios.
Yes, thank you,
do a great job.
Invictus. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Love it here.
Yeah. So as far as tonight, the REC called a special meeting. On the agenda was supposedly a vote to for
No confidence.
no confidence in the chair, and
Which is basically like a censure, was what someone explained it to me, is that it's like a slap on the wrist. Doesn't mean anything, really.
right. It's basically a way to say like we're not happy with you right now.
Yeah. But they're not going to be able to remove him.
Right. It will not be able to remove the chair. There is, in all honesty, like I really want to just explain it. Like there's just a difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like semantics. It's like, 6 months versus 12 months, these things don't have any like huge consequences of the things that are being changed or the things that are being tweaked. And so I was very happy because my South County region meeting was on Tuesday.
Great meeting. So
Thank
shout out
you.
you, Jessica, for running an amazing meeting. I'm not going to lie. I walked to that meeting very tense because I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go. Everyone's all fired up and we'll see how it goes. And it was really good. There were a few rumblings in the crowd, but you handled it very, very well.
Thank you.
So-
I've gotten a lot of feedback from that meeting. Basically, thank you. You handled this so well.
Yeah.
You gave us a lot of information. You gave us a lot of education about what is the special meeting, what our responsibilities are as REC members, where our power lies, really just kind of educating people and letting them know. And it basically comes down to the fact that they're holding this special meeting. They have to have quorum, which is 40% of the membership. I'm hearing that there is quorum tonight. And so in order to do a vote of no confidence, somebody has to make the motion, somebody has to second, there has to be discussion, and then there's a vote.
And it has to be 60%.
Is it a 60% vote?
I heard for no confidence it has to be 60%. I don't know if that's true, but so if anybody who knows all the rules is watching.
So 60% of the 40%.
Yes.
Of the room or
No,
total?
Of the quorum.
I heard 60% of members.
What if there's not 60% there?
I don't know. These are great questions. These are all good questions, and I'm sorry that I don't know. I would really, if Jody or anybody who knows a little bit more about the RPOF rules is watching, weigh in or
the
drop
model
in the comments.
Constitution.
Look it. Okay, so you can go for it. Look through that. And just so anyone knows who is watching, the reason Jessica and I are, as Palm Beach County GOP members, are not at the meeting is because we already had this podcast scheduled when we got the notification of the special meeting.
Similar to 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so Abby had the
when
same
there was
situation.
a special meeting called at Breck, and we already had the schedule. We had already paid the money for
We
the
already
room.
paid for the we have a co-host. We're not going to
Yeah.
be like, deuces, Abby, you're on your own. Have fun.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So quorum is
So we're not there.
40% of the members.
Mm-hmm.
And shall be present, including those members.
Yeah, that's just quorum.
Yeah, that's just quorum. Let me see if I can find more information.
Hold on.
So while you're finding that
Go to
information,
rules of procedure on 9.
can we bounce off of this for just a
Yeah.
second and come back to it? So Abby, would you
Yes?
like to give us an update on your life?
Yeah, so I was pretty quiet at the last episode 2 weeks ago because I had filed to run for seat 5 as city commissioner in Lighthouse Point, but the qualifying period was still going on. It was from noon on Tuesday, January 2nd till noon on Tuesday, January 9th, full week. Well, noon on Tuesday, January 9th occurred, and nobody filed to run against me. So I ran unopposed.
Woohoo!
And therefore automatically got the seat.
Yay!
And
Yay!
I will take the office. I will take the seat at the end of March, the second meeting in March.
So
After what would have been the election.
So since we didn't get to interview you as a candidate, we're going to interview you a little bit when you down the road when you get in at the seat.
Well, I attended a 4-hour workshop on Tuesday
Oh,
night.
look at you.
Ooh.
How do you feel having not had an opponent? Like, how did that make you feel?
There's definitely two different sets of feelings going on because, like, first of all, as a person who leads a richly scheduled life.
That is so well put. I
Yes.
might have to steal that.
I am
from
very
you.
richly scheduled.
Richly scheduled.
Not having to campaign for the next 2 months, every single weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, always having that stress at the back of my mind. You got to do more. You've got this coming up. You've got that coming up. Interview by the Sun Sentinel, the League of Women Voters candidate forum, any other forums that might come out. There's a lot of events going on in the city of Lighthouse Point this go around that what they weren't going on 2 years ago. The late mayor, he kept a lot of stuff still shut down even into 2022. Well, now the city's like back up to full strength. They've got all these events. I would have been going to those events to talk to people. I'm still going to go to the events because now I'm a commissioner-elect. But just not having that constant stress is a relief. However, it does kind of feel like I cheated.
Yeah.
And, I know that there are some that have made comments that, all three of the seats that were up, the 2 commission seats and the mayor's seat, we all ran unopposed. Nobody filed to run
So
against
only
us.
3 people filed to run.
3 people
for 3
filed to run.
seats.
More people picked up the candidate packets. They did not fill them out. And Form 6 was a large component of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to a couple different people. We had somebody on the agenda the night of the 9th at the commission meeting. There was an agenda item. The city of Lighthouse Point has enjoined with other cities in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties to sue the state over Form 6 being pushed down.
Interesting.
I don't remember what cities in Palm Beach.
I don't see Boca on here. They probably don't care.
Not. But they are, I mean, there were people that either gave public comment in person at the meeting or they called in via Zoom, which I'm of the opinion the city needs to put an end to because it seems like no other city allows public comments over Zoom anymore.
We have it.
Do you
No,
really?
No, I'm sorry. Boca does not have public comment. They just air all of their meetings live. What city has
Wait,
it? Boynton has it.
What do you mean you don't have public comments?
Live. Online.
Online. Okay.
Just a live stream
You just
of the
live
meeting.
stream it. Correct.
And then,
Yeah.
no, sorry. So I meant to say Boynton does.
Yeah, well, we had
Allows public comment.
we had the crazy nut jobs call in 2 meetings ago, talking. I mean, they like
About what?
Oh, anti-Semitic, and racist stuff. They were, yeah,
Really?
they were giving. First, they tried to give public comments during like the agenda item only at the beginning of the meeting, and the commission shut them down. Like you can't, like can only give comments now related to items on the agenda. So some of them
Palm Beach
waited.
County did that. Too.
Some of them waited 3+ hours till the end of the meeting when it's like public comments on anything.
Yeah, open. Yeah.
To continue their
Wow.
anti-Semitic.
3 hours?
Yes.
Are they residents in Lighthouse?
No, they gave fake addresses.
That's terrible.
Like they would give addresses. I'm like, that street doesn't exist in Lighthouse Point, or that house number doesn't
There's
make
no
sense.
screening?
No. And that's why I said no other city. Like I checked with, my compadres like
Yeah.
John Brody and Coconut Creek and a couple
So
others.
Boynton does. I don't know if they screen for address or not the same way they would if you were
Right.
giving public comment in person because they get those cards and they look at them.
Yeah, they don't do cards or anything.
They don't.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you just can walk up to the mic. So technically, actually, in Boca, you
I mean,
can just
we're
walk up
talking
to
about
the
a
mic.
small city.
No, in
Yeah.
Boca, you can just walk up to the mic. You don't have to submit a card. They just
wait,
go,
where
does anybody
was I
want to give?
going
Oh,
with
I'm
that?
sorry. I know.
Oh,
So 3 people.
Several. This was at the second or the only December.
So they
meeting.
gave public comment saying they didn't want to run because of Form 6.
This last meeting, yes. And I know one of the people that called in. I know him from serving on a board with him, and he was like, "Yeah, like it just, plus, obviously, it's a time commitment to serve as an elected official, and some of the people have families, small kids. It's especially like giving up 2 evenings a month at least to sit on the dais and sometimes for hours on end. So, anyways, all that to say. Several, I want to say there was probably maybe half a dozen people picked up the candidate packets across the 3 seats, but only 3 of us filled them out and turned them in.
Interesting.
And so there's not a municipal election in Lighthouse Point in March.
That's going to save you guys a lot of money.
It actually isn't as much as you think. When I ran in 22, it cost the city about $24,000.
Why are ours $250,000?
Wait, for the city?
Yes.
Yeah.
$250,000?
That's how much they budget for. I heard that they actually
was
spent 160.
When they piggyback off of the SOE, like if the SOE is coming in to do...
So no, that's yeah. I don't know. That was for when it was just a municipal election and there was no other election.
It's more expensive when there's nothing else to piggyback
so that would
off
make
of.
sense.
Because there was a special election for the state Senate in 22 because of the whole special election for CD20. It created a waterfall
Yep.
of open
Yep,
seats
'cause
from
people
people
resigned
resigning
to run.
Yeah. So it was definitely cheaper because of that. Well, we wouldn't have had early voting if not for that.
Right, because you only have early voting if it's a state level seat or higher.
Yeah. This year, I want to say when the city commission approved the March elections back in like November, it was only like maybe $9,000 for this year
you're
because of
piggybacking.
because of the presidential preference primary.
Right. That's
Yeah.
same thing.
So
same
it
thing in
really
Boca.
it did save the city money, but not
not as
not
much
as much as you would
not
think.
as much as it would have been if it was not another type
Right.
of election going on. So
Yeah.
wow, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you.
uber
Again,
exciting.
Again, like it's weird because I didn't have to run for 2 months. I know some people are, saying stuff about being.
Well, if you were saying stuff, then guess what?
You should have
could
picked up a
filed
pack
to
and run.
So
Until you do take the step to do the thing yourself, you don't really have a leg to stand on. It's like
No.
people who complain and then don't vote.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
as they say, haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. Don't
But
hate the player.
yeah,
hate
so
the game.
at the city commission meeting last week, the mayor presented me with a 3-inch binder
Yay.
for the land development code rewrite in the city, and he's like, "Here you go, time to get up to speed. We've got a workshop on Tuesday night." So this past
But
Tuesday
that's
night,
good. You're gonna have like 2 months of training
Yeah.
before you actually
Yeah.
have to sit up there.
so we
Commissioner
had a
Woodward,
joint.
how would that have felt?
I know she always
Had
she
2
always
months
used
of
to say
training.
she used to say it's like drinking through a fire hose.
It is. It is.
So it was a joint workshop on Tuesday night. So it was like a U-shaped table, and you had the community appearance board on one side, you had the planning and zoning board on the other side, and then the commissioners across the middle. 4 hours. It was almost a 4-hour meeting.
Wow.
But our land development code, our city code of ordinances in general, hadn't been touched since like the 60s.
Oh, it's time to update them. There's so many crazy ordinances on the books. Like,
There was something. I'm trying to think. One of the commissioners was talking about. It was really funny. It was something about like women not being able to serve alcohol in a bar in the city. It's like, yeah, maybe we
There
should.
used to be a law in the books in Michigan that you couldn't swear to a woman.
Oh,
That you
There
couldn't-
was-
apparently, I've heard Tim Pool say that there's one in Florida that women are allowed to go skydiving on Sundays.
I've heard there's a law in Texas where you can't drive barefoot.
I drive barefoot all the time. How would
There's
they
a lot of
know?
Screwy ones.
Yeah.
How would they know?
If you got pulled over
just
for
be
something
sure.
else.
The only thing I see in here about it's just a removal, and that's got to be a 2/3 vote of memberships. So that's not 40%.
No, 40% is quorum, so that's just removal. So
to
there's
remove it has to be 2/3 vote of membership.
But that's a removal. That's a little.
Yeah,
that's
this
that's
is
not a
not
censure.
vote of
It's
no
probably
confidence.
just a majority vote. If it's not specified,
I don't
it's,
think he'll
it's
get
50
it.
plus 1.
I don't
But
think they'll
even,
get it.
I mean,
I don't know. We'll see.
Even if he does.
even if it goes through, like you said, it's like a
Doesn't mean
slap on the
anything.
wrist. I mean, a
Wear
censure
it with pride, Kevin. Wear
a
it with
censure
pride.
could mean a couple
I
different
mean,
things.
look, they've impeached Trump how many times?
That's true.
That's like the biggest censure of all.
I know. But like
that's
I
the
said,
thing, like-
wear it as a badge of honor. Be
You
like,
guys-
yeah,
wait, no,
Shaking up the establishment.
You guys voted to censure a certain member a year and a half, 2 years ago.
yes.
Yep, and did nothing. Nothing, I
Did
tell
it
you.
bar him from the meetings?
Nope.
at all?
Nope.
No.
Did nothing. And he didn't even bother to show up. It was Caruso.
No. Oh, I was thinking of someone else.
Oh, that's the only person we've censored
Okay.
since I've been in.
We've removed a couple members.
No, that you removed.
But
did
we
you-
don't vote for that. To remove members?
No, yeah.
No, that's the
we
board.
should,
Yeah.
but we should be.
It should be the
According to
membership
this,
voting,
The membership should be voting.
but
on-
it takes a
if-
2/3.
to-
It takes a
to
2/3.
get
Let's
rid
do
of-
that.
To even get rid of people, it says right here that it's supposed to be a 2/3 vote for people that haven't been showing up to meetings. To get rid of them as a 2/3 vote.
And we just remove
Well,
them off the
if-
rolls. Oh,
If you
snap.
miss,
As
if you miss 3 in a
absentee.
row without an excused absence, you.
Automatically.
You
But he's
automatically
saying
get
that
rid
this
off.
It is
means-
automatic. I thought
Yeah.
that says 2/3 vote though.
No, it's
I think that's if you are submitting the excused absences.
Oh,
Well, this is the first REC meeting I've missed, except for one. I think I missed
I know,
one.
Me too. I kind of have
when I was
FOMO,
traveling
I'm
or
not
I
gonna
something.
missed.
lie.
I missed
Huh?
one other.
I kind of have FOMO. I'm not gonna lie.
See, I do, but I also don't because it gives me so much stress. Like
I
the
know.
Tuesday night meeting, I was sitting next to Bill because I was, we were sitting next to each other at the thing, and I kept accidentally kicking him because I was like kept twitching my legs and like shifting in my seat, and I was like sorry, so I was like trying to move, and I just makes me so
I can
jumpy.
picture that, Josie.
I think
I
we've-
know, right?
I think we missed one meeting, and that was back when we
I had COVID.
Yeah, we're sick.
I think I missed one meeting when I was traveling, so this is the only other meeting I've ever missed. And I did get an excused absence.
Yep, me
So-
I did too.
Okay. Any updates?
I can go over who I have as far as Republican candidates running in nonpartisan and municipal races.
Let's do it.
All right. So this is not an endorsement of anybody. This is just information that we're hearing that these are registered Republicans that are running for these seats. So
Which are nonpartisan races, so technically it doesn't really matter what their party race is. Let's preface that right now. We'll
correct.
Say
And do your research, because we're hearing that even though that they are registered Republicans, they are looking to ride the wave, so to speak. So many candidates are had changed their party affiliation so that they could run as a registered Republican, but they may not necessarily.
Seems to be in vogue right now to be changing to become a Republican. I'm hearing rumors about things.
Yeah,
more
it's like the cool thing. It's
like
something
the cool thing to do. Guess what?
Ride the
We
wave.
are not a fashion.
A fashion.
You can't just put on an identity of Republican.
Well, not only that, but I mean,
I'm a Democrat and identify as
I identify as a Republican.
yeah, I mean, you should do your research.
My identity is not for sale.
anytime.
I'm just kidding.
Anytime.
Anytime, of
You
course.
should definitely vet your candidates regardless.
I suggest if I feel like the best way to vet a candidate, honestly, is meet with them.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
a
yeah.
candidate is not willing to sit down and talk to you, have coffee with you, especially at these levels. Municipal candidates live in your neighborhoods.
Yeah.
If they're not going to sit down and meet with you or try to get in front of you in person and they're willing to answer all your questions, red flag.
If you would have told me 2 years ago I could call up a candidate and like have coffee with them, I would have laughed.
I
at
know,
you.
but here we are. Guess what? We can get you their phone numbers. No problem.
I would have been like, do what?
Yeah, call them. Say make your questions. Say find out the issues that are happening in your city. Have your opinion on them. Call them and say, these are my questions. What is your opinion on ABC, XYZ?
Well, as a voter, it's like, I think I've mentioned this before. It's like you're the human resource manager.
Yep.
You are interviewing these. You are asking them, can they do the job?
You're hiring. A vote is a hiring
And
process.
you can like somebody and then not be good at the job. Like
Happens a lot.
or you may not like somebody as well, but they could be really good at the job. So you have to kind of consider and weigh your options. And I actually think it was Steve Abrams that said something to me the other day. He said, because I said something like, if you agree with the candidate like 65% of the time, like you may want to consider voting for them. He's like, somebody said once to him, and if you're listening, Steve, put it in the chat so I get it correctly. But he's like, if you agree with me 85% of the time, vote with me or vote for me. If you agree with me 100% of the time, check yourself into a mental
Yeah.
or something along those lines. So we have in North County of Palm Beach County, we have Juno Beach. We have Peggy Wheeler and Alexander Cook Mayer is running. We have Jupiter Inlet. We have Ed
Hasavar?
Yeah. Hasavar.
Sounds good.
All right. Sharon Segrin is running. Tequesta, we have Jason French and Julie Mitchell. And then we have Lake Park, Raphael Moscoso. I'm terrible with names, so I apologize if I get them wrong. North Palm Beach, an Orlando Payol and William Lazariga. North Palm Beach
Are
is
these all just who's running, or are these okay?
Yeah, these are just who's running I'm being told are Republicans
That are registered Republicans.
that are registered Republicans. North Palm Beach is Ronald Lentz. Pahokee is Sarah Perez. And then another Pahokee is Juan Gonzalez. We have in Green Acres Eddie Ayala.
Ayala.
Not
That
related
sounds
to Ayala.
Oh, you're talking about the one that ran for
The one that's on the school board,
Oh,
on
I don't
the Palm Beach County School Board, the AOC light.
Maybe.
Ayala.
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Glen Ridge, we don't have an update.
Glen Ridge?
We don't have an update
I
on
don't
that
know.
yet.
I live in South County.
Hypoluxo is Michael Brown and Brad Doyle. We have Lantana, George Velasquez. Sorry, I'm really bad. I'm like from a hick town in Michigan, and like I barely can speak English. So I'm muddling my way through. Laxahochee Groves, Phyllis Mangalia, and Anita Kane. Ocean Ridge, Jeff Pugh, Nick Azaria, David Hutchinson's, and Anar Azaya. What do you think?
Ihala.
Ihala.
Either Ihala or Ijala. It's a J.
Okay.
So it's like holla,
The J
like
is probably
highlight,
silent.
or it's hey,
Really?
or it's a hey
Or it's
H.
a H. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said
Ihala.
Ihala.
We have Palm
Holla.
Beach. Palm Beach is Bridget Moran.
Like Palm Beach, Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Town of Palm Beach.
Town of Palm Beach. Royal Palm Beach is Steve Avelia.
Yay, Steve!
Yay, Steve. Wellington, we have Amanda Silvestri.
Is that the same one that ran for school
Yeah.
board?
Yes.
Okay.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
And then we have Maria Atuna, Michael Parto. And then we have Michael Napoleon. And then Bart Noviak.
What city is that?
Wellington.
Wellington. Okay. Wellington's gonna get spicy. I
It
feel
looks like
Yeah.
2 seats in the mayor's seat, huh?
Yeah.
that's a
And then-
lot this cycle.
And then
A lot of 2
West
seats
Palm
in
Beach is
mayors.
Matthew Lasanio. And then we have in Boca Raton, we have Brian Stenberg.
Brian, I'm going door knocking with Brian on
Yes.
Sunday, and I'm gonna use Salvo.
And then Delray Beach, we have Tom Carney
Mm-hmm.
and Inez Bartholomew. So those are the list of candidates that we have right now. Feel free to email us, put in anything in the chat, anything that you want us to know about these candidates that we can share out
please
to
do.
people.
Mhm.
Had the pleasure of meeting Tom Carney and Inez Bartholomew at the South Region meeting.
Yes.
I was very impressed with Tom personally. He seemed to really kind of know what he's doing in Delray
He's
Beach.
got a good grasp of the things.
Yeah, had a lot of knowledge, and he's very concerned about the Delray City budget and really wants to make sure.
Big budget.
Yeah, and really wants to make sure that money is getting spent wisely. Also want to just kind of mention that in Boca Raton, Brian Stenberg is seat D. There is an election in seat C, which is currently by 2 registered Democrats. You have Yvette Drucker and Bernie Korn. Do your research, figure that out.
Watch some city council meetings.
Yep, and vote with who you think might be best.
Or leave it blank and just
Or-
go in and vote for Brian.
It's an
Right.
undervote, right?
Yes.
Undervote, yeah.
That would be an undervote. Yes.
So-
I
apologize, I couldn't run this year, guys.
You want to hear the Broward
A
candidates?
lot on my plate.
Yeah.
Going on. I have a very rich schedule.
So if I got anything wrong or I mispronounced anything, don't hold me to it. That's just the information that was just given to me this week. So we'll kind of dive into this. And I think, are we going to add another episode?
TBD.
TBD.
Okay.
And
So-
then I was just going to say, keep in mind for some dates, because this election is going to go fast for municipals before you give your candidates.
Sure.
February 20th is your deadline to register to vote, as well as make sure your party affiliation is a registered Republican, because if you are not, somehow that gets glitched or changed, we'll talk about later in the episode, then you won't be able to vote in the primary. You'll only be able to vote in the municipals. And so February 20th is the deadline for that. And then March 7th is the deadline to request your vote by mail ballot. So, and the election is March 19th. There was one other thing I was going to say about that. Oh, but so keep in mind, though, that the election really does start. I know it's March 19th, but the vote by mail ballots will start going out 6 weeks before the election date. So really, what is that? March 19th is like mid-February?
No,
beginning
early
of February.
Early February.
So we're like 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away
Yes.
from the election really starting. So if you are planning to help and work with the municipal candidate to help their campaign,
Get involved now. Yeah.
now is the time to go door knocking, to make phone calls, to help them with text banking, whatever it may be, because those ballots are going to start going out and the election could potentially be decided well before March.
Right.
And remember that in Palm Beach County, that is spring break.
Yes. So make sure you do request. Thank you.
Stuart.
Stu. I almost called you Brian. Oh gosh. Thank you, Stu. Yes. So the March 19th is the Tuesday of spring break. So if you're going to be traveling or you know people who are going to be traveling, during that week, make sure you remind them to get their vote by mail, and send it in if they're going to be out of town. And there will be early voting. There'll be 2 weeks of early voting. It ends, I believe, on the 17th. Early voting, which is St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Yay.
Woo.
Okay.
All right,
so
Abby.
Broward. Tell us who's running.
So there was supposed to have 4 municipal, cities having municipal elections. Definitely fewer in Broward than in Palm Beach. Only 3 of those cities are now having an election because Lighthouse Point, everybody ran unopposed. Excuse me. Lauderdale by the Sea is probably the most active. There's 2 commission seats and the mayor's seat up. The current mayor's termed out. So one of the current commissioners, Edmund Malcoon, is running for mayor. He's Republican. John Graziano, another Republican, is running for that open seat because I believe, well, regardless, he's running for mayor. So his seat is open. And then our state committee man, Richard DiNapoli, is running for the other commission seat. So that's Lauderdale by the Sea. Hillsborough Beach, you've got a couple, well, it's what do you call that? Rank vote. I think you had one on your list, rank voting, like.
Oh, so you just vote whoever gets the most votes.
Correct,
gets the
depending
seat,
on the number of
and then
candidates.
The second gets the most, gets
Yes.
the next seat, and they just filter it all out from there.
So incumbent Republican Jane Reiser is running for re-election. Breck helped her a couple years ago secure that seat in the first place. She's running for re-election. I guess they have every 2-year elections in Hillsborough Beach, but it's a small town.
Is that the same thing in Highland Beach?
Probably.
I feel like
they're very
Highland
similar
Beach
cities.
Is doing the same thing. Anyway, I don't know.
And then Rich Krusko, who ran last year and unfortunately was not successful, is running again. Rich is he's a fellow Breck member with me. He's a good dude. The town granted a variance to the related project for a condo building to be built. Currently, they've got, I don't know exactly what the height restriction is currently there, but they went above and beyond to give a variance to the related group, and he and a couple other residents actually sued the city and won.
Oh.
Yeah. So the reason he lost last year, in big part, was because he sued the city, and I don't know if she's still the mayor or not, but the then mayor basically threw her weight against him in the election. There were 4 candidates. The top 3 got the seats, and he was the 4th. So he's given it another shot.
Good for him.
Good dude. Both of them are great. And then finally, Pembroke Pines. There's 2 Republicans running in, I think, a 4-way race for District 3 in Pines. One of those people is my fellow Breck member, Glenn Theobald. Huge fan of Glenn.
Who is going to be a guest?
He will be
in
a guest
February.
Probably in February. We're going to have him on the podcast.
Haven't nailed down which date in February, but
Josie and Jessica got to meet him.
Yes, he was
got
very
to
nice.
meet him last Thursday night at what was supposed to be my campaign kickoff event. Turned into a celebration.
A victory party.
Yeah. So, and then Chris Zadie, I think is his last name. He's also running. He's also a Republican. He's run a couple times in the past.
They're running for the same seat.
They're running for the same seat. Yeah. So
we like to do that.
yeah. So that is all the candidates, the Republican candidates that are running in Broward. I think those are the only races. So,
Wow. All right. So municipals off and running off to the races.
yeah.
Literally off to the races.
I have to explain what a race is to my kids multiple times. They're really little, so my kids are 5, 7.5, and 9, and the older ones they're starting to get it because now I've been doing this for a long time. But when my youngest one was 3, was when we were running for Commissioner Woodward's seat, and he was always with us because he wasn't in school. He was our litlittlest campaigner. And
He had a little T-shirt.
he had a little Woodward T-shirt. Yeah, we have so many pictures of him sitting in his stroller, and he's because he was over it. It was hot. He was done. But he'd be I'd be we're this race and blah, blah, blah. He's so they're running? He was
Literally running.
Literally, yeah. So
physically
running, and it just took a while for them to get that. It was really cute. So
When I ran 2 years ago, my niece and nephew were very interested on how much money I was going to make as a city commissioner.
They're like,
Especially
ooh.
my niece. Well, she's 12 now, so she was 10 at the time. She's like, well, how much money are they going to pay you? I'm like, $1,800 a year. She's like, well, how much does the president of the United States make? I said, $400,000 a year. She's like, you need to run for president. I don't think so.
Kid.
I don't think so. But yeah,
Not on your life.
I will say, what another positive for not having to run this campaign for the next 2 months is I do get to help the other candidates now. I reached out to a bunch of them yesterday. I've contributed some money, and I plan to go down to Pembroke Pines at least one of the weekends in the next.
Pembroke Pines is like
It's like
the opposite corner.
Yes.
So, like Broward is more of a rectangle. I feel like
Yes,
than
it
Palm
is.
Beach County is. Palm Beach County's
It's bigger.
It's
It's
bigger.
it's
And it's
longer.
It's longer, and it's
Palm
got
Beach
some.
County is more of like a long rectangle, where Broward is like a wide rectangle.
Right. So like
like
Lighthouse Point is
Yeah.
like over here.
Yeah, you couldn't get it. Well, unless you were in Miramar, you couldn't get any farther away and still be in
It's
Broward
like
County.
Miami and Seattle.
Kind of, yeah. I tell you what, when I was running for Breck Chair, I was down in Pembroke Pines in Weston in the southwest part of the county.
Where am I?
So often that I was like, I need to get a second residence because I'm down here way too often.
And it's a long drive. It's amazing.
It's actually not as bad as getting to, like, I always say that, like, Plantation is the most difficult city in the county to get to, which is weird because it's, like, right in the middle. But if you think about, like, the highways and the roads
go like this. You have to take a
like,
road
you
and
got
then
to get off the
backtrack.
turnpike and
Yeah.
then you got to get off and kind of go, you got to work your way around. The southwest part of the county for me, because I live so far north, like, I get on the Sawgrass at Southwest 10th Street.
Yeah, and you just shoot
And just
on down.
curves on down, and yeah, you get there. So it's not the end of the world, and I'm the type of person, I don't mind driving.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to be able to go. I'm telling you, some of our best canvassers in Broward County are in the southwest part of the county, and I'm super excited to get down there and get to, like, team up with some of these
So
people
fun.
and learn.
I'm excited to go. I haven't gone door
Yeah.
knocking in a while. I'm excited to
Yeah.
exercise
I
that
tell you what,
muscle.
I will take door knocking any day of the week over phone calls. Because that was the Breck campaign.
Oh,
was
yeah.
making phone calls,
Make
and
phone calls.
I hate being on the phone.
I did that. I did that for work for a long time, so I can do it.
Well, it's very interesting because with REC we have with the Palm Beach County REC we have an election operations team, and so they're really going to be focusing on text messaging and emails and stuff this go around. So I mean, people are more than welcome to make phone calls, and phone calls are encouraged.
But I heard that. Sorry, totally didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
But like the statistics is like you've got to hit 7 to 10 times,
Yeah.
and then 95% of text messages get opened where emails,
Yes.
kind of
95%.
Yeah.
95
And
read their
text
message.
messaging is incredibly cheap.
It is.
You're looking at 2 to 4 cents a
But
message.
there's legal issues with sending mass texts.
It depends. Yes.
Yes.
That's why. So you do have to get like 10 DLC. There's different ways to do
Yeah.
it. So make sure that if you are a candidate and you are sending text messages, that you're using a company or an organization or someone who knows the
law.
law.
Yeah.
There are companies that will do texting for you, and then they make sure that you are compliant with the law. So make sure that you're doing that. Shout out to Salvo, because Salvo will be able to do that. Salvo, I actually, again, so with working with Bill's campaign, he's using Salvo, and so we sat down for our like overview. I've done it a couple times, but I wanted Bill to hear it, and so when I'm talking to him and using terminologies about things, he knows what I'm talking about as we're building his strategy. And so we had like a couple hour meeting with Ro the other day. And so, the texting is going to be able to be done straight from Salvo and in the app. So, like, you are going to be able to. So, if you are a candidate and you're looking to get volunteers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm willing to text," awesome. I'm using Salvo. Here's the link. Here's what you do. Boom, 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 and people can be like, and you give them the information, and they can be like, and you say, "Okay, great. On Tuesday at 4:00, can you send out 100 text messages for me?" Copy, paste, send, copy, paste, send, copy, paste, send. You're done.
But that's 1-to-1.
So
that sounds like 1-to-1.
It is. It's
which is
peer-to-peer.
always legal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is. And then he's building out the 10 DLC.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's going to be coming later on in the year.
I will say, one of the other disappointing things about not running a race is I was going to use Salvo, and now I don't have the opportunity to,
Oh, right.
use
So
it for
now
myself.
you just got to convince your other candidates in Broward County
Well,
to use it.
so while we were podcasting 2 weeks ago,
Oh, that's
Ro was
right.
giving the presentation
That's right.
at Breck, and I know they had a training Monday night, and they had a training, I think they were having
So
a
they're
training
going to be
tonight.
using Salvo as their...
Apparently, the meeting didn't have quorum 2 weeks ago, so they couldn't vote on it. I think it does require a vote because it really wasn't in the budget 2 years ago. Now that budget is kind of like,
wah, wah.
yeah, at this point. So, but yeah, I think the plan is to full steam ahead on Salvo.
That's awesome.
For
I think
Brett.
it's
Really
going to be really
awesome.
helpful because what I love about it is it takes so much of the like guesswork and legwork out of
Yeah.
things, and then you're able to track so much more of what you're doing, who you're talking to, how you're talking to them. Did they open the text message or did they not?
Do you guys have any experience with any other canvassing apps?
I don't actually. I probably should just so I know, but
Because
I
we
haven't.
used Campaign Sidekick
I
in
know that
22 because that's
the-
what our POF was using.
I know DARPOF I think is using WebElect this year, isn't it? Aren't they?
Which I've had WebElect access since I was the treasurer. You have WebElect access as the South County
Yes.
director, right?
Yeah.
So I have some use of it as a canvassing app, but not as much as I had as in Campaign Sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to me
Mm-hmm.
as I start to use Salvo, which will probably be later in the year for the primaries or whatever, or on a campaign volunteering this March.
It's really good too. I think that once a candidate to uses Salvo, and something you could look at doing as an elected is to use it as an elected as well. It's a good way to stay in touch with your constituents
okay.
and be like, and this is by the way, this is our commercial for Salvo because I don't have my my commercial script. So sorry, Ro, but I'm going to give you extra and talk about so many more details because it was great. You can what I'd like to see once a candidate gets elected,
Mhm.
you have all of this data
Yeah.
that you collected on your constituents essentially,
Mhm.
and now you can stay in touch with them if there's a crisis. So like the one time I really thought about it, I was like, man, I really wish like Peggy had Salvo and was keeping in touch with us. It was when we had the gas crisis when there was no gas, and we're all like,
yeah.
where's the gas? And nobody knew what was going on. And I had to go, I would start texting people and they're like, oh, I was like, where's our representatives? Why is nobody reaching out? Why is nobody doing anything? Oh, it's on Facebook. Well, I don't go on Facebook that often. And if
Yeah.
you're not on social media,
Right.
like how are you supposed to know what's going on with that type of thing? If she had something like a Salvo who she could send easily, or the texting company, whatever she's using,
Right.
be like, hey, constituents, this is your elected representative, Peggy Gossett Simon, blah, 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 blah. The gas is coming or it's on its way. Here's my phone number. If you have any issues, my office, call my office, whatever it may be. That would go such a long way to staying connected with the constituents
Yeah.
that when it comes time for re-election, they're going to remember who you are because they're
Yeah.
going to be like, oh yeah, Abby, she texted me like a couple months ago to let
Yeah.
me know XYZ ABC that this was going on. So not to overwhelm people or be in people's lives constantly, but keep in touch with your constituents more than just a campaign email, an email every once in a while, or when you are ready to run again and you need money. Oh, by the way, here I am.
Yeah.
Give me money. So I think Salvo is a great way to do that because it keeps all of the data for what you've talked with when you've talked to constituents, and then you can continue using it as you're going forward in your elected office. So that's another.
I think that's really cool because it's like, if you really know like who your main contributors were and like who got a sign and, things of that nature, you can even like just do like updates, you know, like
more direct updates with them. Stay really
Yeah.
in touch with them.
Yeah, so it's like you supported me, so now I'm going to support you
Exactly.
by telling you what's going on in office and,
So if you would like to get a demo with Ro, there's two different ways that you can use Salvo. They have a DIY platform, which is do it yourself, and you can kind of build it out, which is a little bit more cost effective. Or if you would like guided journeys where you're having consultations and meetings with Ro's team to help build your strategy, you can do that as well. Viewers of this podcast get a free guided journey session with Ro. So make sure that you mention We the Locals when you contact Ro at salvo.today. So check that out. Thank you, Ro.
Awesome.
Yes. Thanks, Ro.
I'm looking forward to doing a demo with him. I tried to set it up, but it was a little crazy with Palm Beach County Days. I actually
Oh,
went
yeah.
to
How was Palm Beach
yeah.
County Days?
Palm Beach County Days, yeah. What a whirlwind. Very exciting. It was very interesting to be in the
I have
Capitol.
FOMO so bad.
Me too.
Yeah.
Next year.
Next
Yeah.
year.
Next
I'm going
year.
next year.
Yeah.
Well, Bill's going to win, and then I'm going to go with Bill next year. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an opportunity to go and to participate, I highly recommend it because it's just, I mean, it's such an interesting it's just an interesting experience. Like, it's really hard to describe. Like, you really just have to go and you have to experience it. But it's like, to talk to your state representatives, and, like, I was there with Commissioner Woodward, and it was really like advocating for what the county needs from the state. Like, how can the state help the county, and then also like the county can push back a little bit on the state in that scenario too. So it was just very interesting to talk to the different representatives, and Palm Beach County has an amazing legislative delegation team that's just very in the know and very aware of what's going on, and giving good updates and things of that nature. You can actually go to the Palm Beach County website, and there's a legislative delegation tab, and you can see like all of the updates, and you can click if there's a committee meeting, you can click and be able to watch what the committee meeting is. She gives a nice little synopsis. So there's definitely lots of information on there. There's also like government information. So it's like you can kind of click on there, and there's a PDF. I think I've shared it with a few people. I put it in our Signal chat, where it's like you can get, I actually think I have it printed out here, so I can kind of I think I can show what it looks like, which is really cool. And it's like, I have several prints out of maps, but it gives like all of the representatives. It gives, my papers are a little disheveled here, but
disheveled,
whatever that word is.
No, that's the right word. It was just funny.
So it's like it shows you who all the representatives are across all aspects of government, from state all the way down to your commissioners, how government works. There's even a little like printout here. These are all disorganized, so I apologize. But like all of the like maps. So it's like your Palm Beach County School Board maps, your state Senate districts. So anybody who wants that information, it's all right there in a PDF that you can kind of print out and look, like, like what district, what Senate district am I in? You can actually look and be like, I'm in Senate District 30, and this is where it goes to. So lots of good information as far as that. And I just found that the other day. I've worked for the county for like 7 months, and like I was like, this is so cool.
How nice is it that we don't have to deal with the maps changing for 9 years?
Hallelujah.
Right?
Did you hear in Wisconsin? I know we're locals, but I just thought this was crazy pants that this is going on. We live in such a crazy, crazy world. So in Wisconsin, they are they got a new Supreme Court justice that got elected, who's a liberal, and they are saying that because the last redistricting was gerrymandered to favor the Republicans, they are pushing for a special session of redistricting in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I believe it.
Which, if that happens, we will lose. They will go. It'll be gerrymandered for the Democrats, and so then they will have to. They will have to. Why?
No, I'm saying that's it. When the Democrats do it,
right,
it's okay.
It's right, of course. It's not. It's going to be gerrymandered to make it more equitable. I'm sure is what the word that they're going to use, and so then it's going to.
Outside of the cities, Wisconsin is a white state.
Yeah.
What do you mean by white? Oh, like white skinned.
Yes.
It's like white. I thought you were going to say red.
No.
What's white?
No. Like usually when they're talking about gerrymandering, they're talking about racial discrimination in the districts, like representation.
I feel like when I hear that term, I think of like party affiliation, not so much.
Yeah, but usually, like
I guess
for instance,
that's true.
Florida's Congressional District 5 up at the top part of the state. When they redistricted it last year, it went through the court system because the Democrats, they had it because it stretched all the way from Jacksonville over into, what is that county west of Leon? Gilchrist?
I don't know.
Gilchrist County, which is actually bluer than Broward. It's just more rural.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bluest county in the state.
Interesting.
But it's more rural.
And it's rural? It's
interesting. Yeah.
Is there a college? Is there a university in it?
No, but it's just west of Tallahassee. Like we used to have a store in Midway, Florida, which is on I-10 west of Tallahassee, and it's in Gilchrist County. It's only like 5-10 miles outside the city limits.
So that
district stretched all the way from Gilchrist County, which is heavily Democrat, all the way to Duval County, and Jacksonville, like downtown Jacksonville,
which is very heavily
Democrat. So it was gerrymandered for the Democrats, but it was because, especially in Jacksonville, inner city is very African American, which they tend to heavily vote Democrat.
I think that's changing. I think that's changing.
That's the word on the street. But anyways, all that to say, they threw out the race card a lot last year when they were fighting DeSantis and the state.
Yes,
the Republican
I do
legislature
remember that. I do remember
on
that.
the District 5 issue.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm just going to say this, that we have to be very careful that we don't get cocky in this state, that we are a red state, because we just lost a state seat in South. Is it South?
Osceola and Orange County.
Osceola and Orange County.
Yeah.
The woman.
Seat 35.
Erica Booth.
Yeah, she lost. And from what I heard, it's because the Democrats have been knocking doors for 2 months, and we started 5 days before the election.
I've also heard other reasons.
But
I've also heard other reasons. I think issues matter.
Yes.
I've heard that the Democrat actually sided with parental choice.
Interesting.
Yes. And the Republican candidate made a lot of her campaign about the presidential candidate. And I think that's a huge mistake. And I think
do not do that.
I think I've said it on this podcast before. Like, as a local candidate, you have to be able to run on the issues.
Yes.
You have to connect with your neighbors and the voters who are going to put you in office on the issues. You cannot be
because that's what you're going to represent.
Yeah.
Is the issues. You are not being
local.
elected to have an opinion on the presidential election.
Yes.
You are entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to run on that as an opinion and as your platform.
And I think no matter how great you think one candidate is or the other, I think when you tie yourself to a presidential candidate, you live
or
by the
any
sword.
other candidate.
Or
any other candidate. Run your own
by
race.
The sword, you die by the sword. And especially if you are in a purple district, which this was. It went for Biden in 2020. It went for DeSantis in 22. It's not...
it's not a solid.
It's not a solid. It's a D. It's a D district. It just went red in 22
because they're fed up with parental rights. They made a voting block out of the parents.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of finger pointing on Twitter after Tuesday night, and it's like.
So candidates, get your crap together.
Yeah, run on your
own issues.
Yeah.
Know the issues that are important to the people. The kitchen table issues. Know what the issues the Democrats are running on.
Yeah.
And we have to, when you get to Tallahassee, we have to be focused on what is the best for Floridians. This is my biggest beef with, and I don't want to get into too much Trump DeSantis because I don't really care about all of that for this, but it did hurt Floridians. DeSantis taking a stance on a lot of things, and a lot of the legislative session that last year, a lot of the things that were passed were not necessarily things that we needed here that helped us. They were for his resume, and then therefore it's caused a lot of Democrats in Florida to be really, really ticked off, and now they're going to vote on issues.
Yeah.
And it could affect our candidates down the road.
Yeah.
So we have to be, as Republicans, we have to be more strategic. We have to be thinking about how could the and then what question. No legislators asking, okay, if I vote for this, and then what? How could it affect me in my which we don't always want them asking, how can it affect me in my next race? We want them to focus on the issue.
Right.
But at the same time, is that issue going to really cause us to come around and bite us in the neck?
Yeah.
I mean, they're really trying to turn some of these states back blue.
Oh, of course.
Last session, they spent a lot of time on cultural issues instead of actually fixing the problems that were
we'll see. I mean, they did some stuff with the insurance. I want to give credit where credit is due. We'll see what happens.
It's a slow process.
It's a very slow process, and I want to make sure, but it's true. A lot of and they spend a lot of time on the cultural issues, which are the emotional issues.
They're emotional issues, but also I think, unfortunately, Republicans and conservatives have been lagging.
Oh,
on culture.
100%.
I mean, these institutions are captured.
Oh, yes.
And so, they're reacting very, very strongly in the opposite direction. So I think it remains to be seen how much of an impact.
Yeah, we'll see.
All this stuff. But yeah.
But we've lost a few things. We lost that. I was reading we lost a mayor, a big city mayor.
Oh, yeah. Jacksonville, Duval County.
Yeah.
City of Jacksonville, Donna Deegan last... when was that race?
It was not that long ago.
It was in the fall, I think.
Yeah, it was a special election, right?
Which, I mean...
But it was Republican.
No, she lost it. And again, the Republican... There was a contested primary for the Republicans. And the candidate that won the primary, I think... I don't think he was the right candidate to go against the Democrat in the general. And for whatever reason, but also talking about the Democrats being out knocking doors for the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Osceola County is. I don't know how Orange County is with their RECs, but we know here tonight that the Palm Beach County REC, the Broward County REC, some of these other RECs around the state have been wrapped up with all their energy and all their resources with what's going on at the presidential level.
Yep.
And that is not supposed to be the focus of the county party.
That's correct.
And if those two county parties were too wrapped up in what was going on with Trump and DeSantis for the last 2 months, and they didn't turn out their volunteers to help Erica Booth get elected, then shame on them.
Yep, 100%. And if we don't get our people out to vote on these municipals, if we don't get... We have 3 in the South County. We have 3 seats. If we don't win at least one of them, and I think we should win at least 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's because we have the top of the ticket and we have we have good candidates in all running in all 3 of these seats, and we have and we need to have motivated volunteers, which I think we do. But I'm just saying, like, we need to be but here we are in a special meeting.
It is January 18th.
Well, it's a perfect sorry to cut you off, Abby. It's like this is exactly what's happening at the special meeting right now. It's like everybody was so upset because of, like, we didn't endorse Trump, like we only did a straw poll, like,
and we didn't release the results, even though someone leaked the results.
And then it's like you hear
we said don't do it, and they did it anyway.
And then
Shame.
it's like you hear, like I said, like Chairman Neal, like he spoke at our South County region meeting on Tuesday, and he talked about, like, my focus is municipal races. We need to win municipal races.
This is how we're going to do it. We're going to be doing texting campaigns. We're going to be doing email campaigns.
We need to motivate our members to get out the vote for Republican candidates. And it's like there's all of this nonsense that's going on about, like, contracts and, delaying.
Are we going to have 6 meetings this month or 12 meetings this month? And oh my goodness, we're not going to go to West Palm to have a meeting. Guess what? Go to your regional meeting and go volunteer at a candidate. Go door knocking instead of going to a meeting where you sit there and listen to everyone yell. Seriously, I would rather be out door knocking on a Wednesday night for a candidate than sitting in a meeting in West Palm listening to reports, the treasurer's reports. Email me the treasurer report. I'll look at it. Sorry,
I can give you a treasurer's report.
I
don't
actually mind like going there and, like, just getting an update from the party, finding out what's
which we
going
can do
on,
once every 2 months,
and being like, okay, I can go home now. And then the real work happens in my region where I'm
in
not
my precinct and working with my. And I will tell you that I personally, after the meeting on Tuesday night, I felt motivated. I felt excited. The energy in the room after Kevin gave his his plan was super high. That even with the people that were bringing up really petty things, which they were very petty things, if you take yourself out of it and if you're listening, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but you take yourself out of that conversation a little bit and look at it, petty things in the grand scheme. We're about to lose our country. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And we're going to argue whether or not the contract, the meeting was canceled or changed.
Or if we signed a 6-month contract
or 12-month contract,
versus
okay,
a 12-month contract.
So, sorry, didn't mean to. I lost my train of thought. I felt very empowered. I felt very excited, and I think everyone in the room did. I saw 2 ladies go up to one of the candidates from Delray Beach and start chatting with her, and they were like, "Okay, well, how do we get in touch with you? Because we want to come door knocking with you and for you." Her face, she looked like they had just handed her a pot of gold. I mean, she was like, "Really? Really? Oh my gosh. Okay." She pulls out her phone. She's like, "Let me get your contact info." Like, it was empowering. It was exciting. And that is the energy that we need going into this. And if we keep that energy and we spread that energy and become a force multiplier, per my South County directors, pep talk,
educate, engage, empower.
And then we will, and I don't want to be like, all roses and rainbows. Even if we lose, we're going to still have fought for it.
Yes.
Which is the first time in a long time that has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
We haven't fought for any of these races.
Mm-hmm.
The turnout in some of these races is really abysmal by Republicans, the propensity voters, and because they don't get contacted. Like, I was looking at the numbers for Bill's district, and we have some solid red. It's a decent amount of red. I mean, obviously it's a heavily Democrat district, but there's some decent red precincts in there, but they're low propensity voters because nobody touches them. Nobody they don't bother because they think,
So
the
sad.
Democrats have it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do. Oh my goodness, no, let's go. let's go meet them. Let's go talk to them. And we can do that. That's our job as REC members, is to go out and be that voice and connect with our people.
We've lived in Palm Beach County for 17, 18 years. And, you know, like Stuart, I can't remember, like, if I was an MPA for a while and then switched to Republican. I can't remember, you know, because I didn't get actively involved till 2021. But Stuart has always been a registered Republican since we've moved here. Like, you know, he's always been a Republican. And not once has anybody called. Not once did anybody knock on our door. Like, I don't even remember getting a lot of political mail. Like, you know, it's like we felt kind of ignored. And so, and then getting involved in the REC, like, I realized why, you know, like, they had low voter you know, they had not very many members. They had about 150 members, if I remember right, before, like, the big surge
I'm pretty sure there's 1,000 seats, potential seats.
There's even more than that in Broward.
Around that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, so they focused on these big events, you know, like, you know, these big parties or these big.
And what were they using those funds to do then? Were they giving the majority of the funds to candidates? Like, were they?
Probably not.
I think so. I think that's what they've always kind of done with it.
Well, they were definitely, you know, paying for their office, you know,
their
like,
victory offices.
You know, their you know, their
$70,000
operating budget
for the victory offices for the election year.
Wow.
Yeah, every year $70,000.
Every election year.
Wow.
Yeah. So 5 offices.
I know Breck was poo-pooed because we didn't open victory offices, but what do you really need a victory office for?
To store signs.
You just have
signs.
You just have volunteers that kind of meet up and distribute.
From what I heard is that they, you know, like the one in Boca, because it was right on Federal, there was a big sign, you know, people just would come off the street, or, you know, and knock on, you know, and be like, oh, and get information, you know, regarding candidates.
If precinct committee men and women were doing their job, they wouldn't need to find those offices. They would get them from the local neighborhood contact.
Exactly.
Which is, I mean,
full circle.
We were very successful in Broward in 22 because we empowered our people, our members.
Same in South
I had
County.
a box on my carport for months with door hangers. I had a whole stack of yard signs. People knew that my carport was like the place to come get supplies for door knocking. People from Deerfield, people from Lighthouse Point, like
I was
And that's the way it
joking
should
the other
be.
day that the back of my van is like a campaign headquarters.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many scratches from the inside of my van from the yard signs, because I'm like, all right, I guess we're going to deliver signs again. Here we go, kids, load on up. We're going to do signs.
Like, if you're passionate about the cause, if you're passionate about getting Republicans elected and flipping some of these seats and securing seats and whatever, you're going to do whatever it takes to get the supplies out there, get the materials out there.
Having an office is not a victory office is not going to prohibit you
and,
from being able to do the work.
Yeah.
And Chairman Neal actually said, like, we will do like even like rent pods or like garages or like storage units. It's less expensive.
Way less expensive.
Way
You're talking
less.
like $150 a month.
Yeah, it's easy to, you know, like text your precinct or whatever, being like,
The
hey,
code.
you know, here you can pick up your, you know, campaign, you know, memorabilia or whatever, you know, your signs, door hangers,
Collateral.
you know, whatever. And I'm like, that's a fabulous idea. You know, I'm like, I even thought, like, I know I have members in South County that would probably be like, oh, you could use my garage, you know? You know, like,
carport.
I don't have a garage, but
like
I would.
Yeah,
but I
you
can
know?
find a garage, I'm
so
sure.
it's like, you know, if we make it easy and we give people the information, we don't have to spend as much money. It doesn't have to be like
And more
a
money
whole
can go to
office
the candidate.
decoration.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Keep overhead low.
Yeah.
More
Get the money to the candidates.
There was one thing that I want to mention, so I'm going to change the subject really quick because I don't want to forget. Peggy Gossett-Seidman has a glitch bill, House Bill 135, that she's putting up and wants everybody to know about. So is what had happened, that I guess this has been happening for years, is that if you went in and renewed your driver's license, or you moved from another state and got a driver's license, even if you put that you wanted to register to vote with your new address, that you were declaring residency, and if you picked your party affiliation as either Republican or Democrat, it would default back to an NPA.
That happened to me.
Yes. Stewart almost didn't get into the REC because it was just before they were switching the rule that you had to be a registered Republican for a year in order to be an REC member. And like it was close. It was like within a couple weeks because he was like, why am I registered? He's like, I'm not an NPA. I'm not an NPA. Like, well, I'm a Republican. What's going on? And so it happened to him. So
yeah, I know a lot of people it's happened to. I remember being told by my parents, always make sure that they check you as a Republican because they'll try to switch it.
Yeah. So it's so important to check your registration, your voter registration with this secretary, supervisor of elections office.
So what will the bill do?
To make sure. So this is basically saying that they can't do that. They cannot change, whether it's through the DMV or making sure that they program or whatever, make sure that this doesn't happen. So I guess a lot of research went into this, working with like Ann Gannon's office and, working with the DMV, Kerner's office, all of that kind of stuff, making sure that this doesn't happen in the future. So this is just kind of like a protection, making sure that if you register that it stays based on your registration. But again, you want to make sure that you're checking with your supervisor of election offices to make sure that you are, that your information is correct, especially before the presidential primary preference. So, just double check. Make sure, read the bill. It's HB 135 put up by Peggy Gossett-Seidman. I believe there's an article in the Palm Beach Post about it as well. So check it out. Email her that, you support the bill. Talk to your representatives if you support the bill, and try to get this passed to protect our voter registrations.
We have a viewer in the chat. Commissioner John Brody says, "Hello, ladies."
Hi, Brody. How are you?
And he said, "Congrats, Abby." And
Yeah.
Thank you. So, looking forward to joining him at the Broward Days next year, which just took place this week.
Ooh.
So,
real
talking
quick,
about FOMO.
Yeah, right.
Also, you have to remember that if you're not registered as a Republican,
Yes.
you cannot vote in the primary.
In the
Correct.
presidential
In the closed
preference
primary.
It's a
primary.
closed primary.
Thank goodness.
So make sure you
Which-
check that registration.
Which I have two things real quick. One is something we need to be thinking about, and it is completely the only thing we can. I'll say what it is first. So in Iowa, which is I know a very different voting model than we have here in Florida, but still this was happening. Was Democrats were showing up to vote in the Republican primary. One of the theories that I have heard floated, I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy that floated this theory, was that the swamp and the Democrats are really supporting Nikki Haley because if they can pull Donald Trump from the ticket, then they get Nikki Haley. And if she will probably beat Joe Biden because all of them can beat Joe Biden. So they're not looking to try to replace Joe Biden as a candidate.
Well,
they're trying to get Nikki Haley elected, who is Nikki Hillary.
Nick Hillary.
Nick Hillary.
Well, I mean, if you want to go a little deeper in that, is what they can do is they will try to steal the election for Nikki Haley like they did Joe Biden.
Exactly.
And then they'll be like, well, you got a Republican in,
Exactly.
so, shut up. You don't have
Exactly.
anything. Even though that they could have pulled the same shenanigans based on like 2020 and 2022.
Which would explain why, as a Democratic Party, they decided to not run anyone on the Democratic ticket.
Yep.
Yes,
because
there is no Democratic
primary, and they are not going to. And so a lot of people suspected, maybe they're going to just replace Joe Biden, which they can do. They can just say this is who we're electing at the
convention.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people speculated that, and that could still be it. But now a theory that's happening amongst some of the podcasters is that it's going to be. They're not even bothering with that. They're not going to replace him. They're going to say Joe Biden's the nominee, and they're going to try to get Nikki Haley as the Republican nominee. She beats Joe Biden, and they get a neocon swamp rat
But
as
didn't she
the
end
president.
up third in Iowa?
She did
did.
end up third in Iowa, but she said that it is now a two-person race. So
Between who? And
I guess
who?
her and DeSantis.
No, I think her and Trump. I think she just is ignoring DeSantis.
Is she ignoring
completely.
DeSantis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I heard of the term for the first time to be Ron Pauled. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I have
term?
heard of that term. It's where they like ignore it.
I mean, that's what's happening to RFK.
Yeah,
on the Democratic
he's getting
side.
the Ron Paul
Yeah.
treatment.
He's getting Ron Paul
Yeah.
treatment, yeah.
So I was like, this is fabulous. I mean, it's not fabulous. I should say this is fascinating because I was like, I watched this little thing on Twitter, like a whole thing about, like the Ron Paul treatment.
Yeah.
And it was like how videos and clips of like he just didn't even exist.
Yeah, the media ignored him,
the
and that was
primary.
also when like there was less social media
Yeah.
and less independent
Yeah.
media, and so the media ignored him.
Yeah, and so Vivek, so they were comparing the Ron
Yep.
Paul, thing to kind of what happened with Vivek.
Yeah, the
know,
media
it's
kind of
like-
ignored him.
Like they just took his name off of stuff. Like it just
He just
wasn't
disappeared.
even-
Yeah.
He was disappeared.
So I was just like, this is just like you don't even think that things like this
Oh,
happen.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I know.
know?
Well, here's the thing: we don't think that they will do something like that because we would never do something like
Right,
that, and
yeah.
so it's
exactly.
hard for us to grasp. And this is the reason I'm not a libertarian, for the record, is because this is how libertarians. I have libertarian leanings, but they function in a way of like that would never happen. I heard a guy saying that if literally a very well-known libertarian podcaster saying that if we were just nicer to terrorists, then they wouldn't be terrorists. I was like,
That is not the world we live in,
I'm pretty
buddy.
sure that they want to kill you. Like
Yeah.
they've said it multiple times. Generally, we should believe terrorists when they say that they want to kill you. Like, I mean, we have evidence to show that. And I'm not just talking about things that
Right.
happen in this country. I'm talking about lots of behead. I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of want to kill you. So
Kinda.
because you don't follow their religion. Like, So that's anyway. So the whole reason I brought all this up is because I think that we're going to be seeing this a lot more across the country as Democrats
gonna
don't
be
have
shenanigans
it's going to be
everywhere.
shenanigans. But basically, Democrats in Florida have until February 20th to change their party to vote in our primary, and then they can have plenty of time to change their party back before the August election. So if they are not like committee people in the Democratic Party, then they can do this. And I believe it is going to happen because an inside source in the SOE said that they had a
They're
conversation.
seeing an uptick?
Not seeing an uptick because it's not this person's job to watch what's going on, that type of stuff. But I do have someone looking into it and keeping an eye on it. Will be reporting back to me to see if they do see an uptick in the numbers because that's all public information. And I'll also be asking Roe to see if he can keep an eye on it.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the Palm Beach County SOE
It was a joke.
website,
It was being joked about.
but Broward County SOE website updates their
we
the
update
totals very regularly, like daily.
But I can also say, too, that the vote by mail requests are down compared to the last election cycle, are down 100,000.
Because people haven't gone through the process of just
So if you're a candidate, a good recommendation to ingratiate yourself to your constituents is to say, hey, have you requested your vote by mail ballot?
it's
Did you
super
know?
easy.
Did you know that if you didn't request it again, you're not going to get one? So
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's going to be a whole flurry of requests probably right around the beginning of March when people realize
Yeah.
they didn't get their ballots.
Yeah.
So, Ro, if you're watching, I'd love for you to kind of keep us updated on that little statistic
To see if there's like flip flopping. We're going
Yeah.
to see an uptick of like a down drop in Democratic registrations and an uptick in Republican registrations. Before February 20th, and then if it levels, I mean, it'll stop. But I'll be very curious, and then we'll see too after. I don't think it'll affect anything here as far as the numbers go. I don't think there'll be enough to sway anything with our primary vote, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it could impact the strategy of, the Democrats aren't turning out to vote, therefore we will get some of these Republicans elected in the municipalities. If the Democrats do turn out to vote on the Republican ticket, then they're going to vote for their council members, commissioners that they want to.
Yeah.
So that could impact our strategy as well. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
There's lots of moving parts and lots
There
of things
is.
that
So
we
pay
need to
attention.
be
You cannot get
paying
comfortable.
paying attention to, and it's like the more that we put this out and kind of shine a light on it, the less likely, because you hit that moral component, right? So, Democrats are people at the end of the day. They still have emotions. They still have
And
feelings.
a lot of us have the same goals in life. We want our
Right.
children to be happy.
Right.
We want to live in freedom and
Exactly.
prosperity. We want to just
Right.
live,
So
most
there
of
is
them.
that level of guilt and shame that kind of comes into play if people think like, hey, somebody might be paying attention to what's going on. I don't want to be involved in that. So if we kind of sound the alarm, so to speak, like, hey, we're watching you, and if we notice this, then we're going to call it out, and
And there's nothing, just so you know, people ask, legally we can't do anything. It's
Right.
perfectly legal. The only thing that we can do is get out and vote.
Yep.
Because now you're not just voting for your own vote, you're voting to cancel out a
Right.
vote of someone else.
And like usually, what is it, 10-15% actually are the ones that elect your local municipal
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
if you're lucky, it's
If
10
you're
to,
lucky.
it's 10 to 15%. So you're leaving this small little margin of people picking, your local leadership. And
Yeah.
and so just to get involved and just to vote and vet your candidates, you're already like tilting the scales quickly. Your vote matters.
You'll be Oh my gosh, some of like municipal elections come down sometimes to like single digit votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the seats in Lighthouse Point 2 years ago was decided by like 50 something votes.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
close.
that's
So
crazy.
your vote counts the most at home.
Yeah.
In your city.
For sure.
So, okay. So real quick, I did print out the agenda for Boca City Council. Their next meeting is January 23rd. There's nothing crazy on here. I would say, just kind of keeping an eye on what they're doing. One thing I found interesting that I do applaud as being my like hippy dippy self is they have on the consent agenda that they are going to be contracting with let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Contracting with a professional engineering services to do PFAS treatment evaluation project. So PFAS is forever chemicals that are found in everything, oftentimes our water, our drinking water. So they're going to be looking into it to see if that is in our, it looks like in things that touch us. I'm guessing water. It doesn't say specifically. It just says engineering treatment project. So I'm going to guess water.
PFAS was discussed recently at one of the Lighthouse Point
It's been
Commission
discussed
meetings.
a lot at
Well,
Boca recently.
I don't know if it's the county. I think it's the federal. I think it's
So-
I think they've lowered the amount, the allowable amount in our drinking water. It may not even be the drinking water. It might be just like
water. Just
water in general?
Yeah, which
Like-
gets absorbed into your skin.
right. They've lowered it considerably, and now the state and the county and the cities are trying to
And
figure
they
out
crack down
how
on it.
to.
Well, I know there was some of the, oh my gosh, it's one of the water big, what's the company that makes like a lot of like they got really well known during the pandemic because they were making masks. It's
3M.
yes, 3M. Thank you. They I think there was some type of like, I don't know if it was a lawsuit or a thing where 3M was paying out for PFAs.
Oh,
Something
really?
Had to do with it. Yeah, and so I think there's something like Boca. They were talking about it in something like a Boca.
Was it from people throwing their masks in the water?
You know what? It might be. It's something to do with that. So that triggered Boca to want to look into what is going on.
Well, I'm pretty
So.
sure that there's federal regulations coming down that all of the cities and local governments are having to wrap their arms around, like how they're going to.
Hopefully it's not too little, too late.
Well, and not only that, but just like from a cost standpoint, like what measures do they need to enact to be in compliance with these regulations, and how are they going to pay for it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to pay for it. How are they going to extract the money from us is the question.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, there's some ordinances. I haven't read through everything. There's some ordinances and some zoning, some little, some things. So, take a look at it. Their meeting is on Tuesday, January 23rd, I believe at 6 p.m. in not our city council building, but in the Congress building. So they don't meet in our city council meeting room.
Because they all live out near Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, they say it's because the room is bigger and there's
For
whatever.
the two
For
people
the
that
two
show
people
up.
that show up. Yeah. But
Brian
they basically
Stenberg and
and
Josie.
me for a long time. Oh my gosh, there's nothing like sitting in there and you look around and it's all staff and the council members and you, and you're like, oh, good night, guys.
I've been there.
You've been there.
I've been
right.
there.
So no, they don't. There's no dais. They set up all these tables. They set
Oh,
all
really?
these round tables, and the staff has to set everything
Oh,
up.
gosh.
Take everything down.
When they have
Go
a
out to-
perfectly good dais in the city hall
with big comfy
office.
chairs. I'm like, why don't you want to sit in there with a
because
big
they don't
comfy
want to
chair?
go downtown. They don't want to go downtown.
They don't want to have to deal with the traffic on 4th. On
Palmetto.
Palmetto by 4th over there. Yeah.
It's terrible. With the
Well,
bridge
the
and all
bridge.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have an update. Somebody, is kind of let me know what's going on in the meeting a little bit. In the special meeting, it does look like the vote happened. There's some chaos and I guess some disruptive.
Of course.
But it does look like it may have passed. That
What?
Kevin was voted for, no confidence in the chair.
Well, I have confidence in you, Kevin.
So it's not binding. It's like I said, he can wear it as a pride of, a badge of honor. It is what it is. So it's interesting. I'll, hopefully have more information once I kind of get a play-by-play
Play by play.
of kind of what happened. So
what a hot mess.
Very interesting indeed. So I don't know what information came out, for all I know, maybe they were able to provide more evidence and it swayed some voters and some information. So it is what it is at this point. So.
Well, I have confidence in Kevin. I think we will see some great things. And either way, whatever happens up there, I don't care. We're focusing on it.
At the end of the day, I have confidence in our members and our volunteers that want to get good candidates elected. And that's where my energy is going, and making sure that we're educating, that, we're engaging and empowering voters and members, reminding them that they're in charge of how this goes and how it affects them. So.
Yeah. I mean, every member, and this is true in both county parties, every member can choose to get mired in the drama, or they can look past it and continue to focus on the mission of getting our Republican candidates elected.
Focus
in our respective counties, and do everything they can to support those candidates, to volunteer for those candidates, and really put their effort and energy into what is really going to make a difference. Because again, like we've said multiple times on this podcast, like, what happens inside those meetings isn't really the business of the party. It's what happens going door to door, talking to voters, talking to your...
It's basically reports and just, it's basically to cross the T's and dot the I's that we are an official organization and a political organization, and we're meeting, for the requirements, which I think is it 4 a year or 6 a year?
6.
I think in an election year it might be 6.
Yeah, so, and it's just information, and not a lot of work gets done in that. It's just hearing the reports, finding out what's going on. And I love the fact that we have strong regions in Palm Beach County, because it really does make a difference. I mean,
and I think the other regions are strong too. I'm actually going to go. Lynn from the Central region and I were chatting the other day, and she said that she's having good turnout.
Oh, good.
She's having good stuff too. So I think the other regions are. I mean, we should take a field trip.
Yeah, I actually will be starting to attend those meetings.
Sorry,
I
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, absolutely. You were saying exactly where I was going, as I was like,
literally
your
going. Thunder.
Like I really, I do want to kind of attend those meetings as well and give support. And the meeting that I had on Tuesday, I think there were 45 people there.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And
4 or 5 candidates.
Yep.
And their teams.
Yep. And so the feedback I got was amazing, that they really felt educated and understand what was going on and able to hear from the candidates. So I'm going to keep doing. I am going to check into also doing a candidate forum.
Nice.
So for South County region. So look forward to hearing more about that, hopefully.
Cool.
In maybe mid-February, maybe about a month or so from now. I'm going to check to see if I can get the South County Civic Center and do like a little candidate forum.
That'd be fun.
I'm excited about that. So more to come on that.
Yeah. So our next episode is February already, right?
Dang.
Good
Time's
grief.
flying, man.
I feel like it's like such a long way till November, but I also know it's going to go
really fast.
By so fast.
Yeah, February 1st.
February 1st.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. I checked to see so my birthday is March 1st. And so whatever day February 1st is whatever day it's on, because it's exactly 4 weeks later. I was like, oh, we're going to have a podcast on my birthday. But no, because it's a leap year. So it got pushed.
Oh, the 29th.
Yeah. So we will not have a podcast on my birthday.
So close.
So close.
We will have the next podcast.
The first.
On February 1st.
Yeah, the following
Oh,
one.
the following one will
the
be
night before my birthday.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'll have to remember that.
Yes.
So it's the 15th, right?
Yeah.
Your birthday is the 16th?
It is.
That's my brother's birthday.
Woohoo.
Yay.
2 of my kids' birthdays are in February. I have one on the February 2nd and one on February 12th.
Yeah,
I have no February.
We have a really thick. So my niece's birthday was New Year's Day, and then my sister Annie's birthday is Saturday.
Happy birthday, Annie.
My dad's birthday is February 5th. Mine's the 16th.
Wow.
And that's kind of it for.
That sounds like us in
But it's
November,
like boom, boom,
December,
boom, boom, yeah.
where we have Thanksgiving, and then we have my oldest's birthday, and then it's Hanukkah, and then we have my youngest's birthday, and then my husband's birthday on Christmas.
Yeah,
in Stu's family, they're all February or September.
That's it.
That's it.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, my mom
there's
and my
other
nephews
ones, but
both
there's
on
just a
December
lot.
12th
Yeah,
too. So
it's
yeah,
like
they
the
kick it off.
majority.
Kick it off for a couple months.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
all right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you all then.
Yeah. So any closing thoughts, Abby?
No, I think I shared everything I wanted to share from what's been going on the last 2 weeks. Sure, I'll have.
Congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
Commissioner.
Thank
Yay.
you. No, it just looking forward to when I get sworn in. I already got.
Can we come to your swearing in?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They presented me, well, in addition to the binder, I actually got a pin for serving on the Charter Review Committee, which we presented the final report that night at the commission meeting. But I also got, did you guys ever notice, like when you were in town, the City of Lighthouse Point car decals that show like you're a resident?
No, because when I was there, it was pitch dark and raining. And I
Yeah. Well, City of Lighthouse Point, you can purchase a resident decal from the police for like $2. They gave me two that say commissioner instead of resident.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm like,
awesome.
I mean, so one of my friends from like out of the area was like, well, does that mean you don't have to pay for like metered parking, or
Like,
do
do
you
you
get
get
special parking?
anything?
I'm like,
Nope.
We don't have metered parking in town. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like.
It's just so that the police don't pull you over. No, I'm just kidding.
So,
I'm kidding.
Or
I'm kidding.
it could mark your vehicle.
yeah. Oh, there's that Commissioner Stafford again.
Yep.
He's going 5 over the speed limit.
Anything else you want to finish up with, Josie?
I don't think so. I think that's all the things. Just, enjoy, get involved, step out, go door knocking. It's a lot of fun. Go hang out with a candidate. If you don't have a candidate running, if you live in unincorporated Palm Beach County, so you don't have any candidates to run right now for municipals, or you live in a city like Boynton Beach that doesn't have any candidates, go find a candidate. We're not that
We'll
far.
help you find one.
We'll help
if
you
you'd
find a
like.
candidate. So if you would like to connect with a candidate, any of the ones that we've spoken about tonight, any off the list that Jessica mentioned, or just the one closest to you, please reach out to us. We would be happy to connect you with a good candidate that you could. And if you can't go door knocking or you can't volunteer, but you'd like to donate, I strongly suggest donating directly to candidates. Or if you'd like to donate to the REC, our specific Palm Beach County REC, the money goes to the candidates also. So
if you are not an REC member, you can actually contact the Republican Executive Committee of Palm Beach County, which is our local REC, and you can say, hey, I want to volunteer and make phone calls or text messages. You can actually call them, and they will hook you up with our volunteer coordinator, and she will kind of talk you through the process. And like, they're even meeting at headquarters in West Palm Beach a couple days a week to actually like text and do phone calling.
So you
and
don't
things
have
of
to be
that.
an REC member to
Correct.
volunteer on a campaign.
Right.
That's correct.
That was a big thing that people, I'll just throw that out there too. A lot of people were very upset that like if we are not having monthly meetings, that we're not able to swear in new members. And yes, we need to be able to do that, but nothing is prohibiting you
From
volunteering,
The
which is
biggest-
your job as a
Right,
REC member,
right.
is to volunteer. So
Your
nothing's
biggest-
prohibiting you from doing
Your
that.
biggest job as an REC member is to volunteer and
And
get out
any
the vote for
candidate that you're
candidates.
working with will have the data or the info that you need to go door knocking in any given area. So make sure. So that's nothing. Again, nothing's prohibiting you from going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Enjoy.
we highly encourage
Grab some
that.
water.
So
Go walking.
I want to go ahead and I want to thank our sponsor, Salvo.today. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. We appreciate it. If you are interested in sponsoring our podcast, you can reach us at our website, WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. Click on our sponsorship page and it will give you all of the information there. You can follow us on X at WeTheLocalsFL. Follow us on Facebook, We The Locals. Again, you can check out our website at WeTheLocalsPodcast.com for more information and to donate to continue to help our cause. You can email us at WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or information that you want to share with us. And I just want to say, have a great night, everybody, and stay local.
Bye.
Bye.